Alright, so here we have a 2017 Dodge Charger with the Hemi, the 5.7, and I'm going to teach you how to change the oil on it. And this goes for pretty much any vehicle. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different, filter location, drain plug location, and drain plug sizes, and a different kind of oil. But if you look at your owner's manual, you'll be able to figure out what type of oil and what kind of filter that your vehicle takes, or your local auto parts store will be able to pull up your vehicle and tell you what you need for your vehicle. First things first, you're going to want to find the jack point for your vehicle, and you're going to need to jack up the vehicle, and then you're going to at least have to have a jack stand. I mean, you can do it with just a jack, but I do not recommend getting underneath the vehicle at all with just the jack. You should not rely on the jack itself, so use a jack stand. Alright, once you found the jack point on your vehicle, go ahead and jack the car up. Alright, so once you have the vehicle jacked up, go ahead and place your jack stand underneath a jack location underneath your vehicle. Just make sure that you do not put that in the wrong spot. But once you do have that jack in the correct location where the vehicle is supposed to be jacked up, go ahead and rest majority of the vehicle's weight onto that jack stand, and I would still leave the jack underneath the vehicle just for safety precautions. What I like to do first before I actually get underneath the vehicle is I loosen the oil fill cap, just let it rest there, and I also pull out the dipstick partially. Now this helps when you remove the drain plug on the oil pan of the engine. Helps the oil flow out. There's no resistance. So once you make it underneath the vehicle, go ahead and grab your oil drain pan and just get that ready. And once you're underneath here, either you can figure out what size your drain plug is by looking that up or looking in your owner's manual, or you can just get underneath the vehicle within a range of sockets and figure out what size it is. On this 5.7 Hemi, it takes a 5/8 inch socket for the drain plug here. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen up this drain plug here. Alright, all you need to do is just break that drain plug free, and you should always be able to just loosen it the rest of the way with your hand. Now this is going to make a mess. There's really no way around it, but go ahead and just stick your oil pan underneath that drain plug. I like to do it on the edge because when you loosen out this drain plug, it's going to shoot oil out pretty far, so be prepared for that. And also, I would recommend letting your vehicle's engine cool off for at least 15 to 20 minutes before attempting this, because this oil is going to burn the crap out of your hand if you don't, which this one's been sitting for about 15 minutes. It's still going to be super hot, but it'll be tolerable enough to get that drain plug out of there. Now what I do is I hold that drain plug inside of there until I know it's completely loose to where I can pull it out, because you don't want to think that you can pull it out and it's still got a thread in there and it starts pouring oil all over your hand. So now that I know for sure that this drain plug is completely loose, I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. And I mean, you're going to get oil in your hands, but I don't have very much oil on my hands from that. So that's usually what I do when I change my oil, to avoid getting oil all over myself. But don't expect to not get oil on yourself if you're changing oil. That's just part of the job. As you can see, all the oil is pretty much drained out of this engine here. I let it sit for about 15 minutes. That's usually good enough. You're not going to get every single drop out of there, but I would definitely let it sit for a little while. Try to get as much oil out of the pan as you can. But what I like to do next is I take the drain plug and I will just put it back in there, just to keep oil from dripping everywhere. As I take off the oil filter, I'll just wipe up whatever may drip on the floor. And up here, if you can see that right there, there is the oil filter on this 5.7 Hemi. So what I have here, if my light doesn't stop falling over on me, I have oil filter tool, and I got this at Walmart for like $7 or $8. It's well worth the money. I mean, obviously you get what you pay for. It's got slop, and I just have to tighten up this bolt every once in a while. But I would get one of these. Most of the time, if whoever did your oil before changed it correctly and put the oil filter back on correctly and lubed up the seal, you usually can hand tighten those, or use your hand to remove those filters, but sometimes they've been on there a little too long and you're going to need to resort to a tool to remove that. But I'm going to go ahead and remove this oil filter. Get my camera up there. Now, cut me some slack because I'm doing this with one hand and trying to crawl underneath a sports car. But I'm just gonna get those gripped onto the filter. And it broke free pretty easy. Now, what you're gonna wanna do, as soon as you get that to break free, I would get your oil pan ready. So as soon as you can turn that by hand, I would get that oil pan ready to go, because this is gonna make a giant mess. So I'm gonna loosen this oil filter. Now you're gonna get oil all over you. But once you loosen it and starts draining a little bit, just let that sit and let the oil drain out of there. It's still gonna be messy, but if you let as much oil drain out of there as you can, it's gonna be a lot less of a mess for you. Once you've let most of that oil go ahead, drip out of that filter, just go ahead and remove it. You're gonna get oil everywhere regardless, but just be careful, don't drop that filter. I've done it before when I'm not paying attention, just trying to do a quick oil change. And what I would do is just bring this filter as straight down as you can so that you don't pour it all over yourself, and just drop it into your drain pan. Now I'm gonna let that sit for just a little bit and drain out the remainder of that oil. Once you've let all that drain out of there, what I like to do is take a paper towel and clean up any of this oil. Hold on. Just clean up any of the oil that is around that there. As you can see, there's a bunch of oil around the outside of it, so go ahead and wipe up that excess oil, and do the same for the drain plug right there, and go ahead and tighten down that drain plug. I have the new oil filter, and this is an important step. So once you unpackage your new oil filter, I just dab my finger in some oil, and you're going to want to lube up the seal of the oil filter. Now this is important. This is going to keep it from seizing to your oil pan. Well, not necessarily your oil pan, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, now go ahead and put on your new oil filter. Just make sure you put that on there as straight as possible, because you do not want to cross thread your new filter. All right, once it's on there snug, go ahead and just hand tighten the filter back on. Do not use your tool. You do not want it that tight, and it does not need to be that tight. So just go ahead and hand tighten that filter back on there. And that's good right there. That's just about as tight as you need it. Once you get it on there pretty good, I usually just give it one good full turn with my hand, and that is perfectly tight. Now it's time to put the new oil into the vehicle. This 5.7 Hemi takes 6 quarts of oil. So go ahead and take a funnel, put that into the oil fill. I'm gonna open up one of the oil jugs. So this is a 5 quart, and then I have a single quart jug. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this oil into here. What I like to do is I just let that can rest on there as I open up and get the next jug ready. I've got the next jug ready. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one. Once you've put all of the new oil into your vehicle, go ahead and put the fill cap back on and make sure it is tight. And then I also go ahead and put the dipstick back down in. And now you can take the vehicle off the jack stand. Now you can go ahead and set the vehicle back down onto the floor. All right, once you've got the vehicle back down onto the floor, go ahead and start up your vehicle and just let it run for a few minutes. And then I would turn the vehicle off, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna check the oil level of the vehicle on the dipstick, just to make sure that there's enough oil in there, and if there is too much oil. I'm gonna check the oil level on the dipstick here. So first, when you check the oil level on your dipstick, you're gonna wanna wipe it off after you've had the vehicle running. Just clean it really good, and then reinsert it until it's all the way in, and then pull it back out. And this vehicle is in the safe zone. As you can see where the oil level is on the dipstick, we are in the safe zone. So we're good to go on this vehicle.